Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 10 has just released, and yet again we have another amazing chapter, and this chapter is super chaotic and goes back to everything that Kijimoto and Ikimoto have been saying about the time skip. There will come a time where the story is going to shift to a more darker tone, and this is what we're going to be seeing in this chapter, as everything that happens in this chapter is amazing, but some of the chaotic events that happen are just some things that I just didn't expect would happen at this moment. It is so different from what we were used to seeing back in Boruto Part 1. So let's dive deep onto the chapter, starting off with the cover. And I love the cover, especially if you see it in its high quality form as I have it right here. We have Himawari and we have Kurama, who came back, his reincarnation in Himawari's body. They're having this discussion in their consciousness, as Kurama later tells us in the chapter, but everything that we're seeing right now is amazing. I really like the pose that we see right here. It almost gives me some Eren Yeager vibes when he was talking to his father, but now we have Kurama. Himawari looks beautiful and her outfit is amazing. I always enjoyed it. A lot of people are saying, oh, it looks like they're homeless because they're wearing baggy outfits. Baggy pants especially are very trending right now, and Ikimoto has a good sense in design when it comes to his outfits. So I personally enjoy all the time skip designs that Ikimoto has cooked up with Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. And we get some side text saying, while being chased by the divine trees, the Ninetales sleeping inside Himawari awakens. The scorching eyes revive and set ablaze. This makes a lot of sense when we come to find out just what happens between Kurama and Himawari and also Jura. But the title for this chapter is Factor, and we will see why this is the case later on in the chapter. So we continue right where we left off with Team 10, who is flying on Inojin's bird, trying to make their way outside the village southeast. They are doing so to make sure that the village doesn't take a lot of damage. So this would mean two things. Jura is probably not the one who destroyed the village, and also it was a complaint that everything was happening in the village. The code fight was happening outside the village, very close to it in the forest, and we have Jura and Hidari coming into the village in 2 Blue Vortex. A lot of people were kind of disappointed that it seemed like this fight was going to be happening in the village. However, what we are currently seeing is that Team 10 alongside Himawari are making their way outside the village to draw Jura at least outside the village so that the village doesn't take damage. We already saw what a small tail beast bomb was able to do, and they don't want that to happen again. And Jura is aware of this happening, as he says they probably want to change the battlefield to avoid their village taking damage. It is after that Konohamaru and a few of the Leaf police force end up making their way. We have Konohamaru, who confirms that they have met with two intruders, and we flip back to Shikamaru, who is talking to Kawaki and Delta. Boruto has ran off to a different location in the village and still holds his karma in his hands. He still hasn't dealt with this problem, and I really like the inclusion of this. A lot of people were telling me in the comments ever since Momoshiki ended up helping Boruto come back to life and thus could no longer resurrect in Boruto's body, that it meant that Momoshiki can no longer possess Boruto's body. We get a confirmation that this really isn't the case. Momoshiki can't control Boruto's body. We also saw that in chapter 78, but a lot of people believed that it was just Boruto. But yet again, we're seeing this again in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. In chapter 9, Boruto is running away because of his karma, and in this chapter 2, we see that Boruto still is dealing with some karma problems. If Boruto is having issues controlling his karma, it only means that he is struggling with not allowing Momoshiki to take control of his body. So it means that Momoshiki has the potential of returning in the time skip, and this is really what I'm starting to believe may lead to the destruction of the village. But we'll talk about that in future videos. Kawaki tells Shikamaru that he should have told him sooner that Himawari was in danger, or he would have went there immediately. A lot of people were criticizing Kawaki. They were like, yo, we have Jura who's making his way to Himawari while Kawaki is trying to fight Boruto. One thing that you have to notice is the context. Kawaki doesn't know that Jura is going to go directly to go look for Himawari. Kawaki didn't know that that was the case. Nobody even knew that Himawari had the Tail Beast powers. So how would Kawaki really know that Jura was going to make his way to Himawari? he sees Boruto as a threat, just like he sees Jura and Hidari as a threat. So if Boruto is closer, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of the closest threat right now. Now he knows that that's really not going to happen, but it doesn't ruin Kawaki's character that he went to go and fight Boruto because he didn't know that Jura and Hidari were going and looking for Himawari. Shikamaru has a quick conversation with Boruto just to make sure that he is good, and we see some of the karma spreading as we saw before, but this time it is not all over his body, which means that he is slowly gaining back control of his karma. I don't know what's going to happen. He says that he needs a little bit more time to rest, so he won't be fighting Jura and Hidari as of yet. But I really like the fact that they're including this. We know that Boruto has been portrayed to be this demon, to be this god, this absolute animal who is able to fight anybody and is just overpowered, but right here giving Boruto this sort of a weakness when it comes to controlling Momoshiki allows the rest of the characters to go and fight and do something else. We have Sarada later on in the chapter who is fighting, and Boruto's not there to save her. We have Himawari and Team 10 who have to deal with Jura, and Kawaki is starting to make his way over there due to obvious reasons that we later on come to find out. Hidari and Jura have a quick convo where Jura tells him that he's going to make his way to go and find Himawari. Then we have the police who is trying to go and stop Jura from doing that, but Hidari stays and just gives them this look, this ominous look. No emotions. This is what I'm really liking with Hidari and Jura especially. They don't show too many emotions. They got a plan and they're just going to do what they want to do. And Hidari is like, yo, what brings you here? And to the surprise of the Leaf Shinobi, this is our village. Why are you talking to us in this way? Because Hidari is popping up and he is saying that they're being nosy for trying to go and help and see what's happening to Himawari, but at the end of the day, this is their village, and Hidari simply doesn't have the comprehension of what is going on and what these different things like village and their own business that they have to deal with really means. Hidari continues to talk with Konohamaru and the police that are there, and they're still confused on who exactly he is because he clearly doesn't look like Sasuke. He talks like Sasuke, but he doesn't look like Sasuke. But the Sentry team ends up confirming that yes, the chakra completely matches with Sasuke. And we have Sarada and Sumire who appear out of the big explosion that Jura had made. And we have Hidari who says, oh, Sarada Uchiha, and immediately starts to go and fight her. But what I end up seeing here is something that nothing could really have prepared me to. I really wasn't familiar with Sarada's game. You would know that I had played Sarada in the bottom tier. When it came to Team 7 in particular, I had put Boruto, Kawaki, Mitsuki, and I then put Sarada at last. But it might look like I might have to change my review, especially what we end up seeing just from these few interactions that Sarada has had with Hidari. Both of them end up reacting to the claw marks that Hidari has put, which is indicated by the small text bubble that we see. Konohamaru, Sarada, Sumire, they all reacted, but the only one who reacted to Hidari's Jidori was Sarada. Sarada ends up dodging Hidari's Jidori just like we saw in the sneak peek panel. And I really like this. I really like what Ikimoto did here with the paneling. It looks amazing, but one thing that you guys may have seen me post in the community post, I was really wondering what Sarada was going to do next. I thought she was gonna hit him with a cool leg hit or something, just like Sasuke used to do in the past, but she even goes beyond that. She surpasses my expectations and uses a Jidori of her own and ends up hitting Hidari. And this is crazy to me. This is absolutely crazy. Everybody went crazy for this. People were like, oh, how is Sarada able to do this? We will be making a breakdown explaining how strong Sarada truly is because she is very underestimated. A lot of people think she's gonna be just another Sakura. No, what we're seeing here is Kijimoto and Ikimoto cooking up one of the greatest female characters that we have ever seen, as Hidari is unable to land his Jidori while Sarada is able to land one of her own. This makes sense as she was able to dodge the Jidori and use another one of her own, which means that she really is and seems to be relative to a person like Hidari. And this isn't something to be laughable at. This is a very impressive feat that Sarada has done right here. And she goes back and we see a Hidari fall to the ground, but he does recuperate some of his strength and stands back up. We have Sarada who deactivates her Sharingan, and a lot of people are confused. Why does Sarada do this? But if you did read some of the light novels that did come out and some of the novels that are attached to the story, especially those that have to deal with Itachi and the Uchiha clan, you would realize that people who are not 100% Uchihas and are hybrid Uchihas, meaning that an Uchiha and another person who is a non-Uchiha conceived a child together, they tend to struggle with being able to maintain their Sharingan for a long period of time, and Sarada must have had those same issues. Alongside Itachi's so-called girlfriend, she was also a hybrid Uchiha, so what they would do is they would activate the Sharingan when they needed, and when they were no longer using the Sharingan, they would deactivate it to conserve their strength and stamina. This is the same thing that we see Sarada doing, and with all the hints at them being able to fight Otsutsuki threats, they have paid off. We had this ever since Boruto came back to life from the Code arc and everything that happened with Code, Kawaki, and Momoshiki ever since then, and due to the fact that Sarada and Mitsuki were not really aware of everything going on, they were not evolved, they truly felt like side characters. They really realized that, yo, everything is going on right now with Otsutsuki's and various people like Code, but we're too weak to be even put in that conversation. So we have to become strong enough to fight Otsutsuki's. And with Sasuke, who was in the village at the time, as we see, Sarada just did that. She proved her strength with the resolve that she had to protect Boruto and gained this strength throughout the time skip. I'll have a future video ready for Sarada, but what we're seeing her do right now is pretty spectacular. She questions who exactly this person is, as that person used the Chidori, which probably means that that person is Sasuke. And unfortunately, this is where it ends. I really like what we're seeing right here. We're seeing some pretty interesting, like there's just too much happening right now. We have Team 10 dealing with Jura, we have Sarada who is dealing with Hidari, we have Boruto who is struggling with Momoshiki, and Kawaki who is going to make his way to Himawari. Just there's too much things that are happening right now, and I really like this pacing. I really like how fast the story is moving, especially it being a monthly manga. We don't feel like we're getting too much text and not a lot of chaos. Like we've been getting banger after banger, fight after fight, chapter after chapter, and I'm really liking this. Then now we go back to Himawari, who is having his conversation with the Ninetales. This is what the Ninetales ends up saying. He's like, oh, my name's Kurama, the Ninetales. I don't mind being called QB or whatever you really want. But we have a Himawari who is kind of confused, like everybody. Isn't Kurama supposed to be with his dad all this time? How is he here? These are the sorts of questions that Himawari has. And she questions exactly where they are, and then Kurama explains that they are having this thought in her consciousness. Himawari appears to be unconscious to the people around her, while we have a Jura who races to go and find them. Inojin claims that this is the fastest they can go, and Shikamaru is begging for more reinforcements. So now we finally have Kurama give an explanation of to what exactly happened and allowed him to come back. And he says, as you said, previously, I was with your father, Naruto Uzumaki, but during the battle, the flame of my life died out. However, death is not eternal for tails beasts like me. Even if our body and souls perish, we will always return somewhere over time. And this is what I was saying. Kurama was always meant to come back. It was just a matter of time. A lot of people were like, oh no, Barbarian mode killed him in a different way. Yes, it did. And this is why we see him appear in this baby form. And one thing I have to stress is if you pay close attention to the dialogue, he says that his body and soul perished, which means that this Kurama right here is a reincarnation of the Kurama that we saw in the past. Being a reincarnation doesn't mean that you are necessarily the same, even though it seems like Kurama still has his memories. It doesn't mean that you're the same, even though Kurama has his memories. What we're seeing right here is a new Kurama, which is why we see him in a new form, but he still has his memories. So this is a very important thing I have to stress. This is a new Kurama at the end of the day. It's a reincarnation that retained his memories. He goes on to continuing, mentioning the title of the chapter, The Factor will emerge and they will be resurrected. The Factor, Himawari says, and he says how long it will take and when and where it will emerge. Nobody knows, but it seems like I have come into your body. What we see right here is basically Kurama explaining what is going on. And for me not to have to read the entire thing, he basically goes back to explain possible reasons why he spawned in Himawari's body. He first talks about the fact that Himawari has traces of his chakra due to her being born while Kurama was inside Naruto's body. but also her entire lineage from Kushina, Naruto. They were all people who were influenced by the Nine Tails chakra. So it means that right here we have almost like the perfect vessel that was created. On top of the fact that she has Uzumaki and Hyuga blood that flows all throughout her body, and Kurama didn't mention this, but she also has Otsutsuki genetics from Hagoromo and Hamura that Naruto and Hinata possess. And maybe it is just fate. All of these reasons are the factors that led to Himawari being the place where Kurama respawned. This probably took a lot of time, which is why it is only after 3 years that we could finally see Kurama wake up, but this has been hinted towards for a while. We had Damien who said that he felt an intensity from Himawari, and Damien is just a beast at this point, because what we're seeing right here is him reacting to the Uzuhiko and really understanding everything that is going on, him being able to know exactly what hidden power she has. When I say exactly, it is the fact that we all figured that Himawari had some sort of power, but we just didn't know what it was. But he was able to notice that, yeah, there is an intensity about Himawari, and one of the only people apart from Jura who was able to tell that there was something different about Himawari. Even Boruto didn't know that. But Kurama ends up telling Himawari that she simply just has to accept everything that is going on. There is no point stressing about this. There's no point thinking too deep. Accept the situation, as right now we're dealing with one of the strongest characters that we have seen in the series so far. Team 10 is begging Inojin to fly as fast as possible, but this is the best speed that he can use. And we end up having Jura ominously, with no emotions, making his way to Team 10. Himawari is begging Kurama to do something, but she has to realize that she is the one in control of that power. She is the one who has to do the work. But she doesn't know that at this point, and we have Jura who ends up using another Tail Beast bomb. But this one is a lot more precise and smaller, as it is only intended not to do damage and cause an explosion, but to pierce one of the wings out of Inojin's bird. And this is exactly what it ends up doing, which causes Team 10 alongside Himawari to go down flying. We have Chocho who expands and keeps everybody all together and ends up cushioning their fall, so they are able to fall. So now we are finally in a new location. I don't really know what this location is, but at least we know that it is southwest of the village. They are able to fall without taking any damage, and as soon as they turn around, they notice that Jura is right next to them. And Jura says once again that it can't be helped. They are a great team. They are doing some crazy moves. They have some perfect coordination, but they are asking for this because they're not giving away Himawari. They're basically asking for death, and death is what he plans on giving them. Again, we have Himawari who is begging Kurama to do something, but she has to realize that no, she is the one in control, and this is exactly what Kurama ends up telling her, that she has to let go of all of the doubts, all of the preconceived notions, and use his power. And this is where we have a very important statement from Kurama, as Kurama literally tells her that she has more chakra than her predecessors, which is very interesting. There's more things that he says in the future statements, but let's dissect this first of all. We have Kurama who says that she has more chakra than her predecessors. So this probably means that Himawari has more chakra than Naruto and Kushina. That's a simple thing that we can deduce, and this is pretty interesting because Boruto didn't really inherit those genetics. It was clear from Boruto that he had way less chakra compared to Naruto. But here we have Kurama who says that Himawari has more chakra. Depending on the translation you use, you might get something different, but for the moment, and if we go by these translations, it might mean that Himawari has more chakra than Naruto. And Kurama continues by saying, it has a high affinity with my chakra, so much more that it surpasses even Naruto in that regard, which means that Himawari will be able to use Kurama's powers a lot better than Naruto, which means that Himawari is bound to surpass Naruto in the future. This doesn't mean that Himawari has already surpassed Naruto, but it is only a matter of time, and Himawari has the potential to do so as long as she continues to believe in herself, as Himawari, who is not a fighter, who is not used to fighting, and I don't even know if she's a genin in the time skip, she has to start believing in herself, and thus she will awaken these powers. This is why Kurama tells her to get rid of her stupid preconceived notions, or the future that we're about to see see is not going to be bright. And just like that, we have a Himawari who is, it seems like, filled with some sort of confidence and thinks she's going to have her MC-like moment and maybe defeat Jura. No, that doesn't happen, as Jura easily grabs her leg, and even worse than what Ishiki did to Boruto by breaking his hand, we have Jura who literally breaks Himawari's leg. And I would always prefer to have my hand broken compared to my leg, and I feel bad. Himawari is like 11, maybe 13, maybe 12, around that age range, and it's kind of sad to see her take this much damage. And Jura simply doesn't care. He doesn't show any sort of emotion and continues to go crazy. Inojin, who swore that he would protect Himawari, is not able to do anything. And it seems like Himawari is about to give up, saying that it is impossible to do this. We have Inojin who makes his way there using his beast mimicry and throws out some sort of a tiger, and we have Jura, without even looking at the attack, use his wit style and easily destroy it. Jura has a small conversation with Himawari where we learn exactly what he means by devouring Himawari. What he does is that he surrounds them into a tree, creates a tree all around Himawari, and then she will slowly start to lose feelings and become nourishment for that tree, and thus Jura has consumed her. Inojin will not let this happen, who continues to make his way there with Shikadai, who tells him that there is no point in doing so, but he continues. And I don't know if this is due to love on some Hinata type situation, because we seem to be getting a Hinata and Naruto type situation with Inojin and Himawari, but Jura literally kicks Inojin. And it doesn't seem at first like Jura was gonna do anything. I was like, okay, Inojin is gonna get kicked and be unconscious and not doing anything else, and we're going to see what Himawari may be able to do, but that's not what happens. We're in a way darker series, as Inojin continues to struggle and Himawari begs him to stop, with Jura who says, I feel the same way, I don't understand why he keeps trying to attack. But no, Inojin ends up touching Jura's leg and tells him to let go of that girl. And to everybody's surprise, Jura, again without even looking at Inojin, he says, yeah, this is a side character, let me not even look at him. He proceeds to impale Inojin in the stomach and kill him. And we have Himawari who ends up crying. And we see Chocho's reaction, we see Inojin's reaction. But Jura's reaction to all of this, he says, I read somewhere, this is aesthetic. This is kind of aesthetic right here. This is disrespectful. If somebody ends up dying and this is the first thing that you say, no sort of emotions, no sort of anything, he's like, yo, this is pretty aesthetic right here. Nah. Jura is something else, and I would have burned out too. I would have crashed out too, as we literally see Himawari proceeds to do. And this is beautiful right here. We have Himawari in an epic panel. I really like the background right here. Ikimoto cooked. I feel bad for Inojin. Before we even talk about Himawari, damn, Inojin is packed, bro. I could not have expected from Boruto this far. I don't know. This is clearly not a shadow clone. I don't want to hear anybody tell me this is going to be an ink and in the next chapter he's back. That's not going to happen. I don't know if he's gonna die, man. That's crazy. I don't know if he's gonna come back. Maybe Himawari's powers are gonna do something, but yeah, this is kind of surprising to me. I did not expect somebody in Team 10 to die. I thought we were just going to see a random shinobi die that nobody cared about like we saw in a couple chapters, but no. Yeah, this is the worst future coming to be. And Himawari doesn't want to accept it. And with the power that she has been given, she finally snaps and awakens it. And this form that she has, the form that we are seeing from Himawari, is one that resembles a Kushina type of form. As we have her say, I said stop it. And she goes into this new type of form. I wouldn't say that it is Baryon mode like some people are saying. It resembles more of some of the first stages of Naruto using some of Kurama's powers, but it's a lot different, as we don't see the chakra building up around her. We see her hair transform into 9 different sections, a bit like what happened with Kushina. And something that I may think is that maybe the females have a better way of utilizing Kurama's powers compared to the males, because it was strictly the Uzumakis we saw mostly of the females. Naruto is one of the only Jinchurikis that is a guy, because in the past we had Hashirama's wife who was the Jinchuriki, we have Kushina, and now we have Himawari, and all of them are displaying some crazy sort of power. I don't know what are the powers that she is going to awaken. We see her resemble more of a fox. She has the claws on her hands, she has the whiskers that are becoming darker, the mouth with the fangs and everything, and she is about that business because Himawari is mad. And the last time Himawari got mad, she packed up Naruto and Kurama with one punch simultaneously. So I really wonder what she's gonna do. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Himawari is going to be able to pack up Jura? I just can't see that happening because Jura just is chilling. He literally says, this sudden change, what is it? Kurama, who is hyped up, saying that, okay, you have lost your temper. Let's go crazy. Let's go wild, Himawari. And the side text is bubbling with rage. Himawari awakens for the sake of her comrades. She must stand up with her own will. And Himawari will be demonstrating her resolve in the chapters to come. But what I think is going to be happening in this fight, we're going to be seeing Himawari go crazy, but I think it's going to be more on some Orochimaru versus Naruto when he was using the 4 tails. I don't know how many tails it was. I don't know if it was 3 or 4 or even 6. But yeah, I think it's going to be more of that sort of a vibe where we see Himawari go crazy. Jura may be a bit on the defensive at times, but obviously not using his full power. And yeah, that's what I personally think is going to happen. But as I said, this chapter is chaotic. We have a death. We have Sarada going crazy with Hidari. We have Himawari. And what we're seeing right here is, like, I really feel like there's a point in the story. There's a direction that the story is going towards. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you guys that. But I can really see the writing that is being built up here. Himawari and Sarada. 2 characters, 2 female characters, 2 different archetypes, 2 different personalities, and 2 different styles. So you guys pick what you guys like. I really love this chapter. It's a 10 out of 10. And you guys already know, I've been saying this every chapter. Every chapter that comes out, it's a 10 out of 10. But what else do you expect me to say, bro? When we have this type of peak coming out, what else do you expect me to say? But leave your comments, questions in the comment section below. It's been your boy Dynasty, and I'm out, bruh.